Are you alive, YouTube? Or are you lying to me? Ah, I know. You're alive. Mr. Hook's here. Thank you very much, Jim. Can always depend on you to turn up, or at least when you can. Good to see you. I thought you might be asleep by now. I'm just getting the back off this 1466 we've got. Foo Fighter Hemsworth. I don't know where I get the Hemsworth from, but anyway. Well, that is an interesting pattern. This battery's exploded in the no! Oh, nasty. Oh. Alright, let's have a look at this. Hey, Oliver. Tim. Alright, always good to have a look at the underside of your panels when you remove them. Let's see, have a look at this. So, look at that bullseye pattern there. Interesting. Especially considering it's coming from the battery. And you can see this welt in the battery. So that battery is going to have to be replaced. So the customer's going to be in for a bit more expense there. Joy, joy. The keyboard is disconnected. That's interesting. Not turning on, tried SMC, different MagSafe, still no go. Not turning on. It'd be funny if it was a keyboard fault. That'd be really funny. Alright, the battery's going to be cactus, so that needs to come out. Hey Peter S. Boulder, Colorado. That's a place I have heard of. Hey James Ewing and John White. And Edward Galvin. Hey Ed. See you popped in there at the last second. And Graham Hogg. At least you can get these batteries, and at least they're easy to remove. But yeah, that's a pretty nasty little welt. I'm not sure how that actually would have happened. Often, this is a very clean machine. Often what you do get is, you'll notice a lot of the machines have this sort of sand grit in them, just that picks up. And that can rub into the cell and like puncture the membranes, causing this sort of welt to come up. But there's basically none of that around. It's really peculiar that it just happened to come up with a great big boil welt there. Yeah, well. Hey Tony W. Pedro's here. Hostile takeover, Pedro. Let's plug this in and see if we actually get anything come up. Okay, power supply's up. Hey, Nasty Renegade from Denmark. Okay, 8 milliamp. No green light. Absolutely nothing. Ooh. Okay, let's see what our 3V42 is. 1256. No, I doubt we'll have 1256, but we'll have a look. This is a 00165 board. Let's see. 342 is good. Okay, we don't have 1256. We should have 8.6. We don't have 8.6. Alright. Board's going to come out. We've either got corrosion or something's going on. Probably around the SMC. Maybe the SMC itself is kaput. Hey, Trevmar. Travis, how's it going? Damaras, hello. 3X Margarita Doctor's here, how's it going? And Carolyn C. Hello, Carolyn C. I noticed that Lewis had himself a stream today of actual board repair. That would have been a nice bit of relief for his regular viewers. $8 milliamp. It's an unusual current figure to have. And I just put that screw in the wrong hole. You belong up there. It's a little bit late for me, so I'm going to be a little bit less, more or less than perfect. Basically meaning I'm never perfect, but I'm going to be a little less than that again. Hopefully we can do things right. Hey, Jack Cutler. What's this? Pernov got lied to? Ooh. Where is Pernov? I didn't see him. Hey, Carbon. Hey, Nick. Where are you from, Nick? Nick Vitoris? Is it? Ah, Jack, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to go to sleep. I got no sleep last night. I went to bed feeling tired, and then all of a sudden I was just like, my brain's awake. And it wants to talk to me. And I think I got up, peed, had a cracker, had a piece of cheese about 10 times throughout the night. It was just a wreck. And then I wake up this morning and all I wanted to do was go to sleep, but I couldn't. So I had work to do. Hey, Toltec, Andrew Hughes. Oh, Nick, Melbourne, of course, right. I got a lot of my stuff from Melbourne, my parts at least. Okay, have I done everything? Sort of blindly letting my hands undo the board without actually checking what they're up to. It's something I get into trouble over a lot. There's some nasty green spot there. Actually, that's an unusual spot to have it. Alright, let's hope that's the culprit. Let's put this to the side. Just need to put a sticker on that. Hey, there's no drive in this. I have to make note of things like that. Otherwise, when it comes time to send it back, I get a little bit frantic. I start thinking that I've missed an obvious situation. I tear out everything from the walls and the floor, looking for a solid state drive that was never there in the first place. So I've just got to set this 46. Add a note. No SSD included. 8 milliamp. Draw. 3V42 present. 8V1 G3 hot. Submit. Good. Hey, RSM GRT. Is this normal that a customer sends in without a solid state drive? I actually don't mind when people do that. It's one less piece of sort of responsibility I have, and I'm thankful for that. The camera is not playing our game. We'll have to reset that. Sorry, folks. I'm not sure why, but recently I have noticed that the camera seems to... Well, the Linux system seems to forget about the camera when I need it. Should come good. It's good now. Yep. Hey, Florian Sachs. Whereabouts in Switzerland are you, Florian? I've only been to Zurich and Lucerne. Well, that is a nasty piece of corrosion, but it's pretty much in all the, just like, test pad area. There's nothing really under there. But that is quite a... Oh, there's a nice big salt crystal there. It's an impressive salt crystal. Even as a kid, when I had crystal growing science kits, I couldn't get them that big. We're just going to go through, see if we can find something that's completely trashing the board and stopping it from even getting... Well, it could be our ISL, who knows. Hey, Enrico. Tom Hinckley from the UK. Yeah, we've got a good portion of Europe here today. I'm just looking for some monstrous glaring fault, especially with the fact that we had that corrosion there. That was quite a colourful piece of corrosion, but it's... Oh, something just went pop. That was my timer for the board drying, the one that we did last night. Okay, there does seem to be some, see these slight green specks here? They are reminiscent of some sort of corrosion. So it could be our SMC is, and there is this wet goo here. We'll have a look at that edge on. Corrosion. That's actually hard for me to say. Yeah, so we do have corrosion there. Now, whether that legitimately is causing it or not, I'm not sure. To be honest, the current drain seems a little low for it to be just that. We may have to, I don't want to. Is an L around? Because this is a 165. We may have to take the heatsink off and see that the PCH is in fact intact. Yes, Jim, we do have a more widespread audience later because Lewis left a comment on his community sort of section on YouTube where he was lamenting how he wasn't able to do enough board repair videos recently, and then simply said, well, if you want to watch some level of board repairs, you can go over to Mr. Daniels' channel, and henceforth why last night's live stream was titled The Not Rossman Show, to basically indicate that, well, you can watch me, but I'm certainly not Lewis Rossman. Right, PCH looks okay. There's something up here, I'll have a look at that. I do wish you'd get his damn LED. Oh, that's. I thought that was a glob of. Yeah. I do wish you'd get his damn LED light fixed for his microscope. That flickering just drives me insane. A little spot of corrosion there, but nothing major. We could actually have a short and it's just flicking on momentarily with high current. We can explore that option just now. But in this case the PCH seems to have survived, thankfully. Yeah, the overclocked LED ring light, it's not good for it. Ah, Jimbo, how's it? Okay, that's acceptable. Acceptable. No. Not any of the major ones. Might just try with my own DCM board, just to verify. And get my chipmunk, see what it thinks. I'm trying to avoid using my brain here. It's a bit late for brain consumption. Hey, cool hand. Kitty cats are good. Yep. Just gonna sit here and watch the power supply for a smidge. Let's see if it does any sort of jumping at all. Doesn't look like it. I mean, the voltage wiggles a bit, but that's merely noise, regulation noise. I mean, 1 millivolt in 18 volts, that's, you got to expect that. That's quite peculiar. I guess we sort of SMC could be the primary culprit after all. Just wasn't expecting that. Circular polarizer, yes, it'd be nice to actually have one of those. But yes, you certainly need a far brighter light to get through that polarization. Now, on a non-thinking option set, the first thing I can do is just try swap the ISL, and then the next option I can try is the SMC. Now, the ISL is obviously quicker and easier to swap out, which is why you tend to go for that first. There is this sort of low-level liquid around the place, but I feel like I'm chasing a red herring here or something. I feel like I'm missing something obvious. Like I said, I know the SMC's got a little bit of goop there, but it doesn't really seem enough to give it an 8 milliamp draw. We'll try our current sense circuit, see what that's looking like. Yeah, Tom, that's my diode, diode mode testing. And 19's fine. And 3 is fine. Hey Wayne. Yeah, the ultrasonics is another option, but I'm not sure. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to take the other one out of the oven. Oh, crikey, that is hot. The oven's been off for a while, but it's still pretty damn hot. This is the one that we had to do the keyboard connector replacement from last night. Or was it? No, it wasn't. Was it? No. Now, what did we do to this one? I've got it in my notes somewhere, but I can't remember. Oh, that was right. There was the RTC clock. That was the area we did. Came up alright. And then the SMC connector. Well, the ultrasonic's done a good job, so it cleaned that up quite nicely. Have a look at the connector edge on. You wouldn't tell that that was all corroded like it was yesterday. That's pretty impressive. I'm happy with that. By the way, I have found that I can just, for putting through the ultrasonic, I can just use my green Sharpie right on the metal portions and it survives alright. The only reason it's not showing up so well here at the moment, and you can't even actually see it, you can just sort of see it barely there, is because I actually rubbed it off with my thumb. But if I just write on them, it survives through the ultrasonics well enough that I can still see what the board code is. So I think I'll just stick with that rather than anything more complicated. Sometimes it is a simple solution for these things. Alright. 43, there you go. You'll get reassembled tomorrow. I'll just put my... cool hand. Yeah, most of us have got 1278 experience. I don't have access to one of my Gmail accounts, and account recovery doesn't help. No idea. Nope. When it comes to Gmail, I make sure I keep at least 2 or 3 recovery options. The trouble is, if someone does get in and hack your account, then it's pretty hard to... obviously, if they're professionals, the first thing they're going to do is try and eliminate or disable every possible option that you have to recover. It's going to be a bit sluggish, but I'm going to go through and do a diode mode check on all these. Let's see if I can set up a 4-way view again, like I used to in the old days. Let's see, all in. What am I missing? Okay, I've got annoying people in that one. more annoying people in that one. Okay, shift the chat up there. Oh, I know why I used to have the 4 views, because I used to have the board view and the schematic on separate windows. So we'll just shove that over that. Yeah. Yeah, that'll do. Can't really split the screen any other way. So yes, what I'll do is I'll go through and I'm just going to measure the diode mode on the rails and see if I've got anything looking particularly out of place. This is a 165, so I probably do have a guide, a sequence guide on this already. 165, and I do indeed have a sequence rail set up on this. So what this means is that instead of me going through the schematic looking for, I know what I need in this bottom corner, I need my big fat face. Don't know why I didn't think of that. So, just bear with me a moment. Okay, blank screen. Video capture, existing, face cam, okay, oh crap, too much. No one needs that much of me. I'll do. Suffer and weep. Okay. So what I was saying is that instead of looking at the schematic with the rails, so like if you go to the rails page, instead of going through this one by one, I've created these sequences that you can just click on and it shows you where you have to go. You can test that one and you can look for the duds. Pedro, I'm going to have to improve that. I think I need to really step up and make that an easier process for everybody, because even I don't want to do it. Oh, what? I just noticed something. There's corrosion on the USB. Yeah, let's start with checking to see if USB is corroded. That's funny as, I just spotted that. It's going to be a pain. V-bus 4605. Okay, so that's that inductor there. We'll see if we're short to ground on that. Nope. That would be about the only thing I would have thought that could, cause dramas. No, well, we'll go back to our sequence. Okay, first one is that fuse. What? .13. Mm. HS computing. .13, a stubby. HS other. That's the resistor above. It's tolerable. DC in. Of course, I should have known that one. Yep. RTC. Okay, that's on the other side. I've gone past it. There it is. It seems okay. $75.01. Seems fine. Sometimes you get too many damn choices here. Ah, come on. There we go. It's fine. Hey, Richard Bicker and David Legault. Alright, so the S5s seem fine, so now we're going to the S4s. Which pin are you? You're the second one up. You're okay? No drama. Hey, Mark Fabian. I know it's a little bit boring going through this, but you know, it is just the sequence you've got to go through sometimes. Sometimes. There's a bit of muck on that actually. Just noticed that there now. We'll have a look and see what that is. We'll stop at our position now. We're on 3v3S4 and we want to know what that one there is. SMC, TDI. Maybe. I mean, it does look a little bit messy, so yeah, it's possible. Some of the other usual culprits have been taken out. Let's carry on with what we're doing. Pedro, this isn't in open. It is part of open data, but I haven't really formalized it. But it is certainly part of some of the Flexboard. You can do this in the latest versions of Flexboard View. You can create these sequence lists or solutions. Like here, I've got a diagnosing solution for backlight issues. You probably can't really see that, but let's go to programming. There we go. So like if you've got a problem with your backlight and you just want to check things, you can do this, check that there, and check the backlight, and replace that chip if things go wrong, and just things like that. And they're easy enough to add. Keep jumping off from 3v3s3. I think I did measure that one, didn't I? No, maybe I didn't. Yeah, that's this one here. Seems fine. Fine. Tomorrow is mostly because at the moment I'm stuffing around with a lot of features that I'm not 100% yet certain that are ready to go out. That's all. I like to do a fair bit more testing, particularly if Lewis gets his hands on them. I don't want him getting his hands on stuff that I haven't yet sort of put through as much testing as I can. I'm sure you can appreciate that. Okay, what are we looking at here? I'm just going through making sure I don't have a short somewhere, that's all. We're almost done. This is very much indeed the boring part of board repair. Oh, Lewis makes a fantastic tester, absolutely, no doubt about it. I'd hire him in a heartbeat. You just can't beat the guy. Oh yeah, there's plenty of boring parts of board repair. Absolutely. I'm not sure if you're being facetious or not then. Okay, this is probably going to be... Yeah, but we'll just check the resistance instead. 10 ohms on a... Yeah, that's okay for this chip. 10 to 14 I think is pretty normal. Where's Pionov when I need him? You can never rely on Pionov to be around when you need him. And unfortunately you can't call on him like you can on Nell. Okay, we actually do have a short here. I wasn't expecting that. That's on our very last rail. That's on our LCD backlight rail. Okay, come on, surely that's not legit. David, it's not going to be a long term, it's just for when I'm doing... Okay, 0.55. I think I'm reading the... Yeah, I was reading the wrong thing. Yep. I was reading the wrong side. I misinterpreted what I was looking at on the screen. I was actually putting my probe on ground. Okay, so that's fine. I knew that was a bit weird. Alright, so we do not appear to have an actual short on any of the main rails, so we are a little bit, lost on this one. We've got the little smidges of corrosion there. We do not have an exploded PCH. It's like nothing gets going, so yeah, I'd say let's see if we get some voltages out of here. So we've done the testing for the diode mode, but now let's actually see if we can see some voltages around the place. 1278, is there a common problem with the keyboard backlight? That comes off the main backlight driver as far as I know, so it's actually the same as the 165 and 3437 and many others. So I'll just check your backlight circuit area, and yeah, it's down in an area where there is usually a fair bit of corrosion. Okay. Could you check the LIO connector? Oh god. What do you call the LIO connector? Logical I/O. You're talking about the DC in connector? That's a good point. I'm assuming that's what you meant. Hey, Katana Seiko from Germany. You got a Japanese name and you're from Germany. That's multiculturalism for you. I'm just having an edge on view, see if anything jumps out. I've already used my brain power enough today. Going through all those diode modes. I mean, to give you an idea, it's quite rare for you have to resort to that sort of thing. Relative to the number of boards that you typically do. Well, I'm going to clean up that resistor that we were looking at that was a bit corroded. I can't really see how that would come into play, but you never know. And I'll clean up that green cluster of corrosion as well. Sometimes you don't comprehend how something can play a part in the startup process until you actually confirm that it is in fact what caused it, and then you go through and with the knowledge of knowing that that does cause the trouble, and you finally make the connection. And so we'll fix that up and see what happens. Oh, left IO, right. Thank you. Hello, Pernov. 10 ohms for this CPU. Still pretty normal, right? This is the 165. What have we got? We've got a 1.6 gigahertz i5 with 8 gigs of RAM. Oh, this is actually one of the good boards. Actually, I wanted to see if we were getting any voltage out on that. Damn it, everyone keeps distracting me. That blue speck is a piece of plastic, it's not actually corrosion. Yeah, I just wanted to check a couple of voltages that are key. Yeah, well I said 15 as my initial sort of estimation, but I still figured 10 was acceptable range. So thank you for confirming that for me, I do appreciate your knowledge. Let's see. Now we've got 3 there. Alright. Now we've got nothing coming out of the TPS. It's 17.6. I was going to say 15,000 is probably a little bit farther, Pedro. Oh, not Pedro, Jim. Sorry. No, I'm not into removing the J tag, I'm afraid. $15.9, they're almost all the way to New York from here. Got nothing, which probably makes sense. Yeah, well, that stuff seems to be okay. Alright, let's clear up this that I keep saying a million times. Do you ever get stuff stolen by Apple over there? I can't say I have, but then I don't import goods here very often. The only thing I really do tend to import are donor boards. So notice this has got a bit of a brushing here. See all these sort of scratch marks here? It's like someone has actually brushed off. So maybe we do in fact have an SMC issue outright. And they've brushed off the corrosion that we should have been able to see. Oh yeah, it actually looks like... Anyway. This is the fun part when people take your hints away. What tip have I got today? Oh, I've got my JSO2 on today. Out of practice. Yep, you went flying too, okay. It came up a little easier than I would normally expect, to be honest. And, okay, the trace there is actually floating a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but when I push down or just touch it, the other side floats up a little bit. And see how it moves like that? It shouldn't be doing that. Let's see if that has to go anywhere. Hey, Service PC. That's our 3v42 sides. That goes everywhere. Make sure it's got continuity. Well, it's nice to know that the trace is working. I mean, the camera is working properly. No, it does seem to have continuity. Yeah, it's just not the sort of thing I'd expect to see floating around like that, so that is something to keep in mind for me. And when I say that, I mean you guys have to keep that in mind so I don't have to. And then when I get led astray of other things, you can say, hey Paul, remember that piece over there that you've told us to remind you about? That's how board repair works on live streams. God damn. And the other way it works is me not finding 165 boards when I need them. Ah, gotcha. Hey, Rex. Let's see if those two bastards knocked one off. I don't trust it if it's knocked off because it means it's taken a bit of a physical hit. And for all you know, it could have cracked it. And yeah, really, are you willing to risk a cracked resistor? It's not worth it. So I'm going to use this board. It's got an SMC on it that we may need anyway, so may as well get started with it. So we're just going to nab those two. And hopefully we do not knock our tweezers and lose our parts. We got lucky. So now I was about to say now the little buggers are stuck together. Jacob Mozada, thank you for the 20 DKK. Not sure what DKK are, but thank you. I'm sure I'll find out later when I go through xe.com and see what it was. Yeah, so someone's definitely gone along with a fairly aggressive brush. You can see these strokes. And I don't think it's from my brush. I could be wrong. This is my brush. Yeah, my brush doesn't really... Unless it picks up flux. Oh, that's great, now I'm going to have to wash that. My brush doesn't really leave scratch marks. Let's see if we've got any improvement, and if not, then I think we just go for the SMC. Danish Crone? Okay. Nothing like an apple Danish, I guess. Though I'm more partial to apricot Danish. We do have green light, we've got full power. We're booting. That was what it was. Okay, so why did those resistors come into play? So we've got this R5179, SMC, TDI. Okay, let's see what that rail's for. Wow, that's the only one. Okay, SMC TC. Your JTAG. Yeah. TDI doesn't even go... Where do you go? Nowhere. You just align... What are you? Pull up, pull down. You're a pull up. Of course you are, because you go to 3v42. Yeah, okay. So maybe, maybe it was just the pull-up that wasn't working. Let's verify that by just put our heatsink on. Goes to J6. Oh, okay. So my guess is it just, yeah, left it floating. Everybody wants to see the fan spin, so we'll do that. Personally, I like to see the green light. What I should do is integrate a green LED into the fan. That would be extra cool. Let's see how we go. You're not going to work now. Oh, there you go. Yep. Oh, crikey. Sorry, everybody. Just realised. So what we want to see is we want to see the green light on there. So we've got a fan spin. And it's right where it should be. We're just waiting for the green light. Come on. There we go. We're alive. Green light flashes. Brilliant. Right, now for those of you asking what's the point of the green light tells us that the CPU is alive and there's communications going on. Whereas if all you rely on is the fan spin, then that just means you've got your 5-volt SO state, but it doesn't mean your CPU is alive. Jacob, if you look up CMI Zapper, damn it, I keep forgetting to link this for people. I need to put it into my repair items page. Harold's going to kill me for not doing it. I'm getting it now. Here we go. There we go. eBay seller making excuses by tracking does not show item was actually shipped. Spidey senses tingling. Oh, absolutely, yes. 100% on board with you on that one. Alright, so the corrosion on the SMC can't be too bad, which means it'll probably be cleared up when we ultrasonic it. And that's it. That's a nice fair income fix with a smoking gun. Hey Nick Facey. Wexrex giving me far too much credit there. Just goes to show, sometimes it's not always big and obvious. I mean, originally there probably was a lot more corrosion there, but because they peeled it, washed it off or scrubbed it off, it did make things a little bit trickier to find. Oh man, the adhesive's coming off these. Will the Chipmunk work on non-Apple products too? I'm pretty sure they should actually, yes. I don't have a laptop to test it on, but I can't see why it wouldn't. Because the green light is for when it sees D+, D- activity. So definitely a very, very handy tool to have. Alright, let's clean up a bit and put it aside so that it's ready for tomorrow's ultrasonicking session. I've already finished the ultrasonicking for tonight and I don't wish to start that up again. This will be just fine to wait till tomorrow. Okay, so this is board 46. Yeah. And that should be enough to get through the ultrasonic without coming off. I'll be able to read it well enough that I can know which board it is. Very worst case scenario, if I completely lose everything, I'll just have to boot it and see what the serial number is, and then I can match the serial numbers with the stickers and everything else that I've got here. Okay. Right, that can all now go back into its slot, ready for tomorrow. What have we got next? We've got a 1465. Backlight issue. Test of alternative screen. Backlight issue still persists, so likely backlight. Fair enough. Seems reasonable, doesn't it? Okay, which one of you has got the SMC? You go into the container that has boards that have most of their needed parts on them. I'm just going to start disassembling this. Oh yes, as Farnell says, a mouse is often the way that we have been doing it prior, but I got to admit I do prefer the chipmunk for doing this sort of thing. Not just because they were given to me to trial, but it's just one of those convenient things. I have to remember I put my mouse last or anything like that. This isn't good. I've got a container full of someone's screws. I've got it on the full display at the moment, just while I take the panel off the back of this one. Damn. Come on. It is. Ek gaan van Kapstad en jy. No, not en jy en Ek is of Kapstad. You are from Kapstad. Oh, where are you from? Right. Huh. Sorry, Cargreen. My Afrikaans is really atrociously slow and bad. Ek kan nie Afrikaans praat nie, man. And people go, hoekom nie? Nou, ek weet nie. I sound crook and breathing heavy. No, I think it's just me being tired, and in general, well, speaking Afrikaans makes me sound crook, that's for sure. There's a lot of guttural sounds and spitting, phlegm movements. It's a very creative language. Oh, you're actually an Englishman. Well, a lot of English people I remember in South Africa were more than fluent with Afrikaans as well. And Zulu and Xhosa. What is it? I know it's not. I never know how to pronounce this, that other language. Xhosa, Xhosa, or. Yeah. That was very bad of me. I'm over there all that time and I didn't take the time to find out how it's pronounced. I did learn bits of Zulu and everything else, but after 25 years, you sort of forget. Kosa, thank you. I6 Sosa, Kosa I can handle. Afrikaans is more like a bastard language, a bit of English really. Hey, Johan Boysen from Nullspruit, Mpumalanga. Such memories. Did a lot of travelling in South Africa. I loved my car. Had a nice BMW 320. It's a good car. The only downside with it is due to the nature of the roads in South Africa, I was forever having to replace the fog lights because they were too low close to the road, and it was just constantly getting hit by trash, rocks and stuff like that, being kicked up by the car in front of me. It'd probably teach me for tailgating, but it never did. Hey Ruben Naidu. From Durban. The only place you can get a proper curry bunny. Okay, I do miss those. Okay, you want curry, you go to Durban. You want biltong, you go everywhere. I spent a lot of time at Pilanesberg in the game parks there doing work. Okay, so we've got no backlight on this one, so we're going to just pull it straight out. This is a 164 board, I think. And I've got corrosion on the J-tag, actually, hilariously. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 164 board. Nope. We're in trouble here. Sorry, I'm pretty sure it is 164, but I'm going to note to the fact that the backlight cable connection area is cremated. That's nasty. I hope it hasn't killed the pins. It's not too bad. They're intact. We may live. But yeah, this is classic liquid damage, and it's been there a while, and I think it's just finally given up. The 3v42 section is beaten up as well. J-tag is beaten. Everything's beaten. So this is going to be hopefully a janitorial job. Hey Mark Prince, how's it going? Good to make it anyway. Yeah, bunny chow is something that I've tried to find bunny chow here in Australia, and no one really does it well. So, and that is the trouble with a lot of the food that you get in South Africa. Until you leave South Africa, you don't realise just how damn good the food there is. I mean, like car park samosas. I can't get good car park samosas around here. The only thing I can get are the frozen nasty ones from Australian Woolworths, and they're terrible. I so miss my chicken curry samosas. So much food, so much experience in South Africa. Even things like bacon and banana pizza. I know, it sounds crazy. That's awesome. Excellent hangover cure. Just everything in South Africa is fantastic in terms of food. I mean, you got Nando's, of course. It's crazy that, Nando's is your fast food, and yet it's brilliant food. To be fair, though, things like KFC and McDonald's and all that. KFC in South Africa is just terrible. Absolutely disgusting. If you're going to have fried chicken and stuff, just get Nando's. Or some other place. Don't get KFC in South Africa. It will ruin you. Yeah, I do miss Nando's. Every time I go to Townsville, I now go and get some Nando's. They don't understand the Afrikaans when I go in there. Like when I'm just saying hello and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, what are you, some kind of foreigner? It's like, no, I'm just trying to be nice. Potjie, yeah, it's the other thing we don't get. People don't understand the difference between a potjie, a braai, and a barbecue. It's like, it's a cultural difference, and it makes all the difference. Oh, hell no, I lost my screw. Not to mention that you're supposed to have your braais in winter. And don't forget your double carbs. And you've got to have the potjie on the side. Burn your boerewors. Damn it, I lost that screw. That's okay. I got a million more where that came from. I'm trying to find my magnet bar. Sorry Jack, we'll keep going. Hopefully it will eventually override and you'll start feeling full. But yes, if you want a good culinary experience, go to South Africa. You can pretty much get the entire world of experiences in one place. Yep, the carpet monster's got the screw. We'll get it back. Just not right now. Kyle, I use it's not the same as what Lewis uses. He's got the Amano, but he never mentions their name because they stiffed him pretty hard. They made him pay a whole bunch of extra money for a microscope that was actually worse. But this is the Amscope 144 TP1, I don't know. It's the standard that everybody uses, and I have a 0.7 Barlow on it. I like to think that I was the one that made people start using 0.7, because prior, when I was getting mine, everyone was like, oh, get the 0.5 Barlow, and Lewis would go, he hates the 0.5 Barlow, and I understood that because the 0.5 Barlow makes the whole head assembly sit up much higher, and it's a long distance between the head assembly and your board, and then when you do try to zoom in, you just don't have that level of zoom. So I went looking around for something other than 0.5, and I found 0.7, and I've got it, and it was perfect for what I needed. It gave me just enough clearance, but also maintained some magnification that you wanted and clarity. And I started telling people to try it, and sort of took off from there. But chances are I wasn't really the one that discovered it. It was just a coincidental thing. I'm just getting desperate and clingy for some sort of claim to fame, as it were. Now that JTAG is going to go. That is legitimately in need of it, and I was right, it is a 164 board. I'm just going over, doing the usual thing that I do, and checking the rest of the board. Oh my. Yes, as we gather here today to try and revive this dearly departed 164. Interestingly, we do not have any backlight ball issues on that one. Just looks overall messy. The Ultrasonic's gonna love this one. So primarily looks like, yep, it is the backlight area. We'll have to replace that backlight connector. Check the top of the backlight IC as well. I have had corrosion. Let's have a look at that. It means I've got to pull the... Yeah, that one looks okay actually on the back there. It looks all pretty good. Definitely I'd say 99.9% of our problem is because of that. Yep. So we're going to do a connector replacement in this moderately close proximity. Okay, just get some flux for good measure. Turn on the lung saver. Turn it down to a reasonable level. I have a feeling I've run out of connectors that have the guiding dots on them, which is annoying, but well, what are you going to do? I did order ones that were supposed to have the dots, but they sent me screen side ones, so it's not much chop. I guess they figured, it's the same. It's like, no, it's not the same, but Who am I to argue with these people? Hey Max. No, the ultrasonic cleaner, it uses more of a caustic solution. Kind of think of Drano type stuff, but please don't use Drano in there. But you're going for the caustic solution because it eats away all the fats and things like that. And we probably also have a backlight trace failure too, just from corrosion. I wonder if that fuse is alive. Let's test the fuse. Optimized logic, unfortunately we are not live. You are hearing a predictive response to what we anticipated you would ask. The fuse is dead. Ding dong. Fuse is dead. Yeah, I think this is just going to be a... I think we just need to wipe out pretty much all of this area, including that cap. The coil probably is okay, but yeah, I'm going to take it. This cap's alright. Hey, Mr. Dahl, thank you very much. I will certainly try to keep it up. And goodness knows I've got to keep earning money. I'm about 10,000 bucks short on my goal at the moment. I'll get there. I'll get there. Hey, Robert McMillan, welcome. I mean, look at, there's barely any end cap left on these. That's probably going to be okay, but yeah. That big cap just flew off on its own. It's like, I'll take myself out of here, thank you very much. Alrighty. Robert, yes, a few people do use a DSLR. The downside is the mass of the DSLR. When you're swinging these... When you swing these head assemblies around a lot on these dual booms, you really do start to notice the weight on top. It's okay if you've got, let's see, one of those very narrow movement stands, but for the sort of work we do, I think you'd end up cursing it pretty damn quick. I might take these resistors off as well, just in case. So I have a really lightweight A5100, okay, that's the Sony one, yeah. Let's see, what was someone asking about a microphone here? How do you keep the noise down on your videos? I don't have a proper professional microphone. Anything that's been done by it is probably pure luck. This is a Samsung Stage XPD1, I think it is. It's a cheap microphone. I mean, the whole assembly only cost me, I think, about 180 Australian dollars, and that was the transmitter and the microphone. So, yeah, I think it's just pure luck that it sounds alright. Plus also the fume extractor is not that loud. I've got it turned down quite a fair bit. Like if I go up to full fume speed, Okay, so that's maximum speed at the moment, and you can really see it on the smoke. You can, like, that just draws it right away. But I find it's ample for me to just keep it at this level. Yeah, cheapest chips for a complete assembly. I wouldn't mind paying for a decent microphone, I've got no problem with that, but I was sufficiently content with this one that I didn't really go chasing another one. I mean, it's definitely not as good as the DPA that Lewis uses. That thing turns you into like a superstar. I'll just have to be content being a busker for now. Because I sure as heck don't have $600 to spend on a DPA. At least not the sort that he's got. Okay, so we've got a fair bit of corrosion on one pad there. We need to fix that up. Oh, pardon me. Let's see if the fiberglass pen does anything useful today. This is what I think a lot of people have been using on MacBook boards around here. I'm not a great fan of them because it's hard to focus it. I mean, that's a 2.2 millimeter or maybe 2.5. I know you can get 2 millimeter ones, but even that's still pretty big for these sort of boards. Still not perfect, but that is definitely enough area there captured to be able to do the work we want. The reason why I look up quite a lot to Lewis's microphone is because I just realised I don't have a 165 donor board. Huh, that's okay. For a long time, I generally always avoided watching any sort of YouTube videos because inevitably the audio was completely trash, and that's, you know, being nice. But then I did encounter one of Lewis's streams, and I noticed the exceptional clarity of his stream, and it was at that point that damn you, I've got a 3024, which is the same overall system. Yeah, that's no good. Anyway, so I noticed that, you know, he had exceptionally good clarity, and from that I was able to watch. What the hell is this? Yeah, someone just get rid of this Taraq 23. You can go to hell. You'll love that. People turning up and they're like, what the hell is this crap? And it's like, really? This is a bit disappointing. I'm kind of tempted, in fact, to just take the parts from a 3437 or a 165 in this instance. I'm going to guess that they're actually pretty much the same. What is holding you up there? Okay, so we've got a 165 board here, and we can pretty much see all the same parts. Like that's that 6-pin SOT. That's a SOT 23.6. It looks like it. Everything else would be basically the same. There will be a couple of little bits and pieces that we have to try and ascertain the difference on, like which of these resistors goes where. But certainly not the fuse, that one of these, the coil. I'd say they're all transferable. Unfortunate that the mic also has a prima donna side effect. Well, there's one way to find out. Get someone to send me one, and if I start turning into a major prima donna, then you know your theory is correct. Maybe. You'll have a correlation at least. You're not guaranteed a causation. But the correlation's a good start. Yeah, I think he's a little obsessed with the audio panels, but yeah, I mean, they obviously do work fairly well. I think the only reason why this room doesn't echo quite so badly as it could is because of all the crap that I've got lying around everywhere. Plenty of bubble wrap, boxes, things like that. It forms a really organic dampening system. Yes, that's what I should call it. Organic dampening system. Okay, race. Let's see. T3B, fitness triple threat boss. Started watching Lewis and he kept shaming my software. Oh, hell, goddamn, yeah. Yes, that's one of those funny relationships that people develop. He is a very demanding user, as in he will find faults in the software exceptionally quickly, disturbingly quickly, in fact. But for the most part, he has been, humorous. I'm going to make sure I get the orientation on this chip right, because we're going from an unknown scenario, so I'll have to pull up the board view and find out which way I've got to go. I often threaten Lewis he should go back to Landrex and see how he goes. I mean, he's obviously not being serious, but it would be interesting to see what the personal efficiency would be like if you drop back to Landrex. Let's see, 00164 I need. Okay, so pin 1's up here on the top left. So it's got to do a 180. And get the damn heck off my tweezer tips. I might just put some more solder on those pads. They look a little bit dry and crusty. They're not actually dry joint. It's just that I think there's a little bit of lead-free solder contamination in there. It doesn't have that beautiful polished look that you want. A beautiful lead chrome look. Landrex mode plugin, that would be cool. Because that can often be the case, is as you progress or migrate up the chain with your tools, you not so much take it for granted, but you do tend to forget just how much improvement in your efficiency they provide. Hey Don Matthews, what you been programming? Oh, now I've got to start thinking here. Let's see, the cap above, C7712. You're a 10 microfarad, 25 volt, 805. Funnily enough, they're actually between the 165 and the 164, the parts have the same names, or designations. This part here on the schematic is the same as on the 164, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, most of these board designs are cut and paste. They just take modules, connect them up, and they simply, have new parameters on how they've got to route them or fit them, but the actual design of the individual circuitry block just remains the same. It makes sense to do that, because once you've debugged one, there's no point reinventing it. Wow, that... Let's get this nice juicy inductor. Like I said, I'm fairly sure the original one would have been fine, but we're just going to take this one. Nah, let's stick it on. Sometimes it's better to leave the bigger parts for last, but I think we'll be okay. Now I think this little cap down here is going to be, well, switch back and forth. 7782, and you're just a little general purpose decoupling cap, and you're probably going to be that one or that one up there. What am I looking for? 7782. And you're the one up the top. And those two resistors, they'll be the ones that I have to move across as well. So it's not ideal that I have to take parts from a different board and swap them all around, but it's better than having nothing. Ah, we got a tombstone. Have you ever thought about doing some work on gaming consoles? Generally not, mostly because of the investment required to... it just isn't enough of it around here. I mean, I do the occasional PlayStation 4 port, but that's about it. 7788... 301k... I am pleased to see that the iPhone SE 2020 is basically just an iPhone 7/8 combination. Mostly 8. That's going to provide a lot of consistent work for people in this industry for quite a while. Okay, this resistor is the bottom one. There's a lot of back and forth thing, I know. Even Sudi. So SE2020 is Apple's LTS phone. That's a good way of saying it, Trad, yes. Yes. Okay, what the heck was that part? C7713. Nah, it's just another little piddly one. That's okay. We'll still take it across, but... And on... Oh, it's the one that's jammed between the two big chunks. Okay, it's this one here. Now we simply have the big cap up there that we have to move across. It's a 10 microfarad 50 volt. Either one will do. I'll take this one because it looks prettier. Travis, yes, I use straight nozzles. I know some people prefer bent ones, but the problem I have with the bent ones that I currently have access to is that they are not properly bent, in the sense that they... Yeah, here we go. They're like that. That's not how you do a 45-degree bend. I mean, yeah, technically it is correct, but it causes a lot of turbulence and drama in the airflow. What you really want is you want a straight one, and then you want to put a 45-degree curve in it, like a smooth bend, and then that way it will actually work well. But when it's just welded in like that at 45 degrees, it's just a wreck. Or at least for me it is. So what I might do is I'll just get myself a long nozzle standard and then find myself a pipe bender, or just fill up the nozzle with some sand or something and then bend it myself. Okay, we just need to put a connector on there now. And then we'll have a look at our 3V42 section a little bit later. Alright. We do need to make sure that all the pads on there are as flat as possible. So we'll first get some leaded onto them all. Oh, we've got a missing pad there, have we? Oh well, no biggie. It's just corroded away, it's not missing. I'm actually going to change over to my chisel tip on this now. Hey, Richard T. It's part of the triple pads, but we will clean it up. We just need to scratch it back a bit. It looks like it's a bit damaged, so it might vanish. But there might be enough there to restore something. Bit crusty, but not too bad. Good night, Jimbo. You take care. I'll see you next time. Sada, you are dreaming. Oh, come on, don't get stuck on that now. I'm really not a fan of doing that with wick. I live in fear of snaring pads when I do that, but sometimes you just gotta take that plunge of faith and hope. Worst case scenario, you generally just have to run a wire, but it'd be nice not to have to resort to such horrendous tactics. Margarita, yeah, that odd angle, it can't be that great for it. I agree, it's just done poorly. I actually thought it would have been cheaper for them to do it properly. That's the thing that amuses me. Yeah, I'm just getting one of my many connectors that aren't the right ones. Oh, do I possibly have one spare? That'd be awesome. And unfortunately, we just can't get anything out of China at the moment, at least not in a hurry. So if I did want more, well, it's tough luck to me. Yep, we got one. This is my very last one. So let's hope I don't botch it up, eh? So the first thing we do is we just put a small tack solder down, or first thing I do, I should say. It would help if we wait for the soldering iron to catch up with our plans. It doesn't have to be a proper solder job, it just has to hold it, that's all. Yeah, that's pretty shonky even by my standards, but it's my channel. Okay. Yeah, I need some more solder there. The thing is, once we've got the tack weld down, I know I shouldn't use the word weld because it's not welding. Once we've got that down, we can then work on the individual pins. Ah, crap, that is exactly what I didn't want to do. And this is a fine example of where you should turn the board around so that it suits what you want to hold the soldering iron at, rather than letting the board dictate what you do. Because, yeah, I just made that mistake. Hopefully we won't get punished for it. The mistake is, if you get too much solder there, it can flow into the pins. And if that happens, you basically just have to remove the connector and start again. This is actually an awkward angle to do this. They look intact. Yep. Yeah, some of the pins do have a little bit of a bend in them. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, just... Alright, don't freak out. I'm deliberately loading up a bit of solder on the edge there. And I'll do it on the other side. And then we'll make it like factory just now. It's just easy for me to do it this way. That is not an easy angle there. If you do have, if you do use, I'm just noticing in the conversation there about ZXW and stuff. If you do have Flex Boardview, you can get iPhone Boardviews for it. Just go into Bad Caps and look for BVRE files. And that will be your iPhone files that you can use in the latest Flex Boardview. Okay, we're just getting some assistive heat here. It's only about 250. And it just makes those connections come up so much nicer. It stops the copper ground plane from sucking away all the heat from the soldering iron tip and lets the soldering iron tip actually work on the solder. That one's a little bit dodgy, but I'm not going to bother draining away some excess solder there. It's within the acceptable limits, I consider. Alrighty. Hopefully that's a functioning backlight circuit now. Hopefully. Arnold G, it's not really, it's just that all this area here is very... It's got a lot of copper ground plane there, and you can't really put enough heat into the tip to be able to flow into that and still have a small tip. So by giving it some assistive heat, what you are doing is you're just sort of effectively buffering that drain effect. I mean, yeah, you could crank the temperature right up, but then you're probably going to start burning your tips and things like that, and you don't have to do it that often. So I prefer not to crank the temperature up too much on my tips. Just give it some assistance when it needs it. Well, it's a personal preference thing, I guess. Some people prefer to run their tips really hot. At the end of the day, as long as you get your solder connection good, that's what matters. Let's probably clean up some of the 3V42 section too. Now, all this would normally come off in the ultrasonic, and it still will go into the ultrasonic, which reminds me we've got to get that J-tag off. I just wanted to get the bulk of the flux off, particularly around the connector here, so that I can do a test. All that isopropylene I'm wasting, what is that, $100 a squirt these days? Hey Carl Green, well, thanks for dropping around. And take care. Tutsians. What we do not need is a piece of solder sitting there. Alright, we're going to take off that J-tag. Need to be slightly gentle with that because it is near the CPU, but it should come off okay. Might help if it's... what? Camera? I know. Just waiting for it. Here we go. It's a cable connection issue, not the actual camera issue. Tim, the one I have is, it's some sort of Sony sensor one. It's on my repair items page. It's not a cheap camera, it's not the most expensive, but it is a good sensor. And I think also importantly is the adapter it uses to connect to the camera. That's equally as important in many ways as the actual camera sensor itself. I think we'll just leave this one here as bare and exposed. little bit worried there might be something creeping under that blob, so we'll lift that off. Hey Buzz Cola. Rename the channel. Yeah, I mean, well, funny thing is, these are mainly 2 for the night, as it were. The rest that I've got coming up are 17 series ones. Oh, and I've got an A1534 I've got to do. The 1534 is most likely just going to be a dead CPU, unfortunately, but at least it'll be a case of confirming it and then walking away. I lost my piece of solder. That's frustrating. Let's cut off another piece. Open off, yes, that's right. Dead book. Yeah, I do have people saying, well, can you fix the board or replace the board? And it's like, well, I mean, you can replace the board, but you're just going to end up with another dead CPU sooner or later. Ah, phooey. I knew I was going to push it too far. Yeah, the dual diode has to be replaced. I got too aggressive. I hit it in the leg and broke it its knee. I put an arrow through its knee. A chisel tip arrow. It was working fine until it took a chisel tip to the knee. Mark Bianco, thank you. A little something for my COVID entertainment. Rolling a layoff 2 weeks on 2 weeks. Oh, okay. What the hell is this I am a Brazil person crap? Someone can deal with that. Thanks, Greg. Get some flux on there, so at least it tries to clean it while it's removing it. Oh, I hope this works at the end of this, because what are we at, an hour now doing this? A bit long for a backlight repair. Oh nice, someone gets... Well, who the hell's calling noob here? Tishka. I don't know whether Tishka is being comical or serious. There's a lot of people who have come over from the Rossman channel which really need to just take a brief walk off the edge of a cliff and a sudden drop. think we've done enough there. There's Beetlejuice here. Well, tech fix. Well, come on. This is a 1465. Things have changed. And we did a 1530, a 4924 the other night. Where have you been? You've been missing all the non-1466s. Makes me wonder whether you actually just prefer 1466s and you ignore everything else. It's a long walk off a short pier. That's the one. Thank you, Don Matthews. Alright, this is a little bit messy for my liking. Yeah, it's too messy for my... I don't want to stick it back into the customer's machine with quite that much flux floating around on it. Because it's easier for me to get the flux off here than it is to get it off their keyboard backlight plastic assembly or whatever it is. I'm sure most customers aren't going to notice. They're not going to open up their machine and have a look and go, hey, that's flux. That's Rossman's flux. But it will just annoy me if I know it's in there. So we got all the idiots turning up now. Hey, Dane Andrea. Let's give this a whirl and hope for the best. Hey, did this one also... Oh no, this one did come with a drive in it. I just didn't take notice. It's my protective pad. Crank it over a bit there, Paul. Oh. Excuse me. Hopefully I managed to flush out most of the flux from this connector, otherwise it's... yeah, that's not too bad. Sometimes you can try to push it in there and there's still a heap of flux in there and it just doesn't make a good connection. Ah, look at that, after all I tried to do, still end up putting flux on their plastic. Trapped that under there by accident. Stick a chipmunk in, just for good measure. It also helps hold the board in. And let us hope and pray we don't have any Cabango effects. We'll turn off that light. Well, we've got green light, we've got fan spin. The chipmunk's alive. Although you can't really see it because it's all orientated incorrectly for this sort of setup. Scratch my nose. I haven't got any green on the chipmunk yet. It's a little bit concerning. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we've got green, we've got CPU activity. The screen I can see is energized and activated because it's gone that darker shade as opposed to when it's not, and it's just got that sort of like dark olive green look. And this is more. Then there we go. We've got our backlight. Marvelous. We're alive. So we're fixed. It just needs to go for a bit of an ultrasonic swim. That one. It's a little bit dirty. Margarita, it's just pretty normal. I think it's the crowd that runs with Lewis. I mean, it's only like 1,000,000 odd people that follow him. There are people that just have sad lives in general. And yeah, you do try when you're young and naive to help people a little more. And then you start to realize that some people just, the help they need is a whack over the head with a piece of 4x2. Which disorients them, and they go for a long walk off the short pier. And then the world is a happier place again. I know. Cynicism. But is it cynicism? Or is it reality? Let's right. I'm supposed to stick this damn sticker on right at the start, but oh well. Take note, we do have one missing screw. One missing screw on the carpet. I'm going to take the stickers off so that they don't get damaged in the ultrasonic. Funnily enough, 4x2 is not really the most common wood I get around here. Instead what we get is we get something that's 70 by 35. So it's almost, it's like 2 3/4 by 1.5. Believe me, that's equally as effective. Hey, John Bigman. Okay, let's get these heatsink screws out. And that can be ready to go and swim with its friend, the A1466, tomorrow when the ultrasonic hot tub is back up and running. I just have to clean that crap off. What's our number? We are 44. Not that there's much chance of me mixing up a 1466 and a 1465. Yeah, if I do that, then I pretty much should just hand in my repair license that I don't have and stop doing any of this work. No. Damn, I'm out of slots. What the hell am I out of slots for? Yeah, maybe if I move the crap that is mine out of the way. More cleaning up required. Alright, well, that pretty much puts an end to the night. Oh yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning. Blimey heck. Yeah. Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning, time for me to hit the hay, go to sleep, whatever you want. Well, to be fair, I'll be going to have a shower, and then I'll go and raid the cupboard, looking for something to eat, then I'll raid the fridge, looking for something to eat. Then I'll check the computer to see who's emailed me, see who's complaining, see who wants features on the software and things like that. So yeah, maybe by about 2:30, 3 o'clock I'll finally get to go to sleep. So we'll leave it at that, and thank you very much for everybody who attended and for all the new people from the Rossman group. Thank you for jumping in and having a look. Hope it wasn't too traumatic for you. A bit of a different change of pace from the New Yorker, but I appreciate you dropping in. So, till next time, you'll take care. I'll catch you later.